We're back, guys, with game number 3 in the semifinals between the Pleyz and the Goon squad. I am Gillyweed, one of your casters. The other caster is Anna.
That's me. I'm Anna Prosser Robinson. Thrilled to be here. Game 3 between the Pleyz and the Goon Squad. 2 really close games so far. Really excited to see what we will be doing this match. Looks like it will be on Dragonshire. So kind of the small, standard, uncomplicated map as opposed to the 2 that we've played so far in this series.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that we have a patch come out and we're not really seeing Tomb of the Spider Queen too much. We'd seen it quite a bit in the last ones, and I have to think that maybe it's the newest map. We're feeling generally uncomfortable. It's a brand new patch. We've only been playing a day on it, and so we're going to go back into our standard picks, our comfort picks, the ones we know and understand. And I think that's pretty cool to see that we still have the beginning maps being just as loved and viable as when we first started the game.
And that diversity of battlegrounds is something that really makes Heroes special. So cool to see that teams are using a wide range of them. There aren't any that are like specifically eschewed, if you will. And Goon Squad and the Pleyz already getting into drafting for these maps. So let's see who they pick.
All right, well, the Pleyz have first pick, first ban, as they did have the choice there to have that since they lost the last game. So they banned Tyrande, and Goon Squad now is going for their ban. So a Tyrande ban here, I think, is really respectful of the Goon Squad, who have first picked Tyrande every game.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Their Tyrande play has been on point. Those owls have been a consistent annoyance. They've given them great vision. The stuns were a huge factor in the last game. So the play is really saying, all right, Goon Squad, we get it. You can play a good Tyrande. Now play something else because we don't want to play against her.
Yeah, that is exactly right. I have to wonder if their Tyrande player will go for, if they'll still go for the 1.5 support by picking up the Tassadar, if they will say, okay, we've got something else in mind, and maybe go for like a push comp with a specialist, if they'll do a double tank, maybe a double full healer. There's lots of different options that they have, and now we'll get to see what they choose to do now that the Pleyz has forced them to do that ban. I'm thinking this may be timed out. We'll have to see. We're already dipping into the time pool quite a bit, and that's usually what happens, what we see in this case when you've lost so much of your time pool on this ban. So, oh, nope, they have banned, so they're just really taking their time. They did go ahead and decide to ban out the Lost Vikings, and so far, no Vikings making an appearance, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum why people don't want to play against the Vikings, and it also is a respectful thing as well because the Vikings are not easy to play. So when you ban them, yes, they're a good hero, but you're also saying, all right, team, we respect you. You've got someone good enough to play Vikings, and we don't want to deal with it. So the play is now going to go ahead and first pick Illidan, a familiar face in terms of first picks, someone who can really get things done on a map. So the plays are opting for that kind of damage. Now, Goon Squad, we will see who will be their first pick, because like you said, they've had Tyrande as a first pick, that kind of half support, half assassin thing going on, and I agree with you. I have this feeling we're going to see some specialist play here. Maybe not first pick, but I kind of feel a Zagara. I feel like that would be a good place for her.
That would be awesome. I think right here, the Goon Squad could grab Uther. Yes, okay, that's exactly what I thought they were going to do. Remember first game, the Pleyz grabbed Uther and that Illidan, and they had the Divine Shield, and that was so difficult for the Goon Squad to deal with. The Pleyz constantly had really, really good engagements in there, and Goon Squad is saying, okay, you can have the Illidan, but you cannot put a Divine Shield on him, forcing the Pleyz to have to play around that. And so they are going to grab that Uther, and then I would not be surprised to see a Zagara. I would love to see Zagara. We often see that if it's going to be a specialist, to be Sylvanas, and that's what they are going to pick up. But I feel like, Zagara has so much team potential. She can set up great team fights with her Ma. She has vision with her creep as well. And on this map, that's really, really important, as well as the ability to siege. And on this map, that bottom lane siege potential, because of the 3 Merc camps, is huge, and that can really turn the tide as well. So we'll have to see if either team feels the same way. First of all, the Pleyz are going to pick up Valo, so stealing that away from the Goon Squad.
Yeah, the play is really looking to line up an aggressive team here. Having Illidan and Vala together is already no joke, especially as we're looking at Goon Squad, who has a specialist and a healer. So, not to say that they're going to be playing passive or anything, but they're not prioritizing burst, and we see the Pleyz is really prioritizing it. We see Vala, Jaina, and Illidan going to be on the same team for the play. So Goon Squad has to be sitting back and saying, okay, how do we stay alive and do a lot of pushing without engaging in team fights and getting our faces wiped?
Yeah, they're going to have to look at sustaining through that amount of damage now because Illidan, Vala, and Jaina is such a roster when it comes to damage dealing. And so far, Goon Squad are saying, okay, well, we've got great push potential with the Sylvanas. And as we've seen on past Dragon Share maps, the ability to shut down turrets and forts from being able to attack the Dragon Knight when your team's picked them up yet. So that's really, really helpful. They are going to go ahead and grab the ETC as their tank. So going for a very tanky tank, that's one way of at least helping with sustaining through all of that damage. Divine Shield will be another factor that we most likely will see from Goon Squad. But if they decide to pick up some sort of wombo, could be the Divine Storm as well. They've got their support lined up, they've got their tank lined up, and now it's time to see who they're going to pick to deal some damage.
I feel like it's likely we'll see a Falstad here. The mobility that Falstad has, as well as his ability to do damage, is going to be really valuable to Goon Squad. I mean, other damage dealers, maybe Tychus, things like that, but like you said, the main roster of the world's favorite damage dealers has already been picked up. Okay, so Tychus is going to give them a little bit of burst. Goon Squad is saying, okay, we really do need some damage. But they've got one spot left. I would assume it's going to be somebody who's going to be doing a lot of damage for them, but we will see. The Pleyz now have got to get a tank and a support if they're doing something standard. Unless they're doing something real crazy, I think it's likely that we're going to see someone who can soak up a lot of damage and kind of be in the middle of a fight, maybe also be an initiator, and then somebody who can keep everybody alive.
I would love to see, I think it's going to either be Brightwing or Rhaegar, but I would love to see Brightwing here. A lot of people don't realize, but Brightwing, her healing numbers are insane. We could even see a Malfurion, actually, now that I think about it. Roots would be really great as well, because if you could root, then you could easily throw a ton of damage very quickly with the burst potential from Jaina and Vala. And there is Malfurion, so they are going to choose to go for more of a... He doesn't have a lot of burst healing, but with Tranquility, he's got that huge AoE healing that can't be stopped, except if you kill Malfurion. And then, of course, he's got Regrowth, but then Roots as well. So really looking at stunning and rooting, which is what Malfurion or Muradin will bring as far as the stuns too. So they're going to be trying to grab somebody and instantly take them out with the damage that they have. And now it's up to Goon Squad to deal with that.
Yeah, this is kind of maybe a scary situation for Illidan. We see a lot of times Illidan... Kerrigan interrupted me because she's amazing! Kerrigan is bae. But anyway, to finish my thought, a lot of times we see Illidan with Rhaegar, who has that ancestral heal that can bring him back from the almost dead if he goes a little bit too ham, which he is wont to do. So Illidan, Vala, and Jaina are going to have to be really cognizant of the fact that they don't have those burst heals, they don't have the comeback from the dead things. They're going to have to group around Malfurion. So Goon Squad is going to be really cognizant of that, and picking Kerrigan, who does have that primal grasp and also a stun of her own, is going to be looking to control that fight. I feel like Goon Squad really loves to have abilities that can control the other team's position, and looking at this lineup, they do have a lot of that.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see ETC, Kerrigan, and Uther running around quite a bit, and what's going to happen is we'll see Kerrigan pull somebody in and they'll be stunned from that. ETC can move around them, body block him, and even push them back more if he needs to. Uther can stun on top of that too, and they'll be able to take out somebody quickly with that. So the gank squad for sure will be Goon Squad running around. We'll have to see if the Pleyz decide to play it safe and stay in their lanes, or if they will be running a little bit of a gank squad of their own.
Yeah, because certainly 5-on-5 team fight, the plays look real scary. But depending on how they decide to divide them up between lanes, the Goon Squad may have opportunities for picking someone out. They really have a lot of a lot of that control again. So this will be really interesting. I think you're right on the money that it depends on now how the teams will position each of these heroes on the map.
Yep, here we go. We are ready. I'm just going to tell them that we're ready. Don't forget, guys, that this is game number 3, so the winner of this will go on to face, let's see if we've got a winner of the other game yet. Let's see. Pool Play-Doh, some Tangos. We saw them play earlier versus Team Solid, and they did beat NV Gaming. So whoever wins this will go on to play Pool Play-Doh, and they looked pretty strong. So we're going to have to see who is going to have their work cut out for them and who will be done after this.
We do have a lot of HeroesHype Amateur Series veterans, like you said. Goon Squad is probably the most prominent team name in this week's competition, but we certainly have players that we've seen proven on these battlefields. So, like you said, it will be quite interesting to see who matches up against them and who will take it. I would not dare a prediction at this point.
I wouldn't either. Both of these teams have been neck and neck both games, and both really coming down to one decision, one fight. The first one was, of course, the decision to sacrifice heroes while your heroes grabbed as many temples as possible versus the idea of just trying to wipe the team before they can grab temples. And then the second game was that one fatal fight down on the Death Bridge. So here we go. We've got the Goon Squad in blue, Posty on Sylvanas, Yoda this time playing Tychus, Teebs on ETC, Go on Anna's favorite, the Kerrigan, and Get Up on Uther.
And Zeus will be taking Jaina for the Pleyz. Yelkow will be on Muradin. Evan Drinde will play Vala. Pirate Rum will play Illidan. And Lex Uther will take Malfurion.
That Malfurion skin looks so cool. And we got our introductions done way early this time. I'm so proud of us.
Well, I wanted to note that the Pley is actually riding all Palominos and one Black Stallion. Very epic and romantic, this team's mount choices. Rare that we see the so-called pleb horse being used, but I like the subtle color variation. I give them some style points, Gilly.
Yeah, although Evan being a little bit of a rebel, as exactly I would imagine Evan would be on the Black Stallion as compared to the Palominos. And shh, we've got a little bit of a game potential here as Teebs is going in. Yelkow is so far out of position, but a great dwarf toss. Oh no. Dwarf tossed up, but somehow like moved back. I don't know what quite happened there, but did die. And the first kill going to Goon Squad.
So this may be an answer to our question about whether we'll see gank squads or spreading out in lanes. At least at this point in the game, we see the Pleyz deciding to stay in lanes, soak up experience, kill minions with the damage that they do have plenty of. They're keeping 3 mid though, as this gank squad is really scary, and there's 4 players from Goon Squad there. Sylvanas and Vala will face off in the top lane, though Sylvanas looks to be mostly just soaking at this point, not wanting to let Vala's arrows hit her in the face.
Of course, we see this a lot with gank squads on the Dragonshire, is the 4-player gank that moves between mid and bottom, grabbing those camps, like separating those camps so that they can go back and forth and pick up each one and possibly a gank as they're doing so. But a really great use of scouting drone by the Malfurion, played by Lex Uther, is at least helping them watch out for those ganks as much as possible. Up top, we do have the Pleyz picking up that shrine, but on mid, oh no, Lex Uther gets stunned right on the wall. And that's the thing when you're playing against a Kerrigan. Even if you're inside the wall, if you're just barely in there, there is the potential for you to be ganked and killed, because she can pull you up to the wall, and then from there, Uther can quickly stun you, and you're going to go down.
Pirate Rum, Yelkow, and Evan Drinde staying a protective threesome here in the middle lane. They're going to spread out and get some experience, though they're really cognizant of the fact that they are a little bit behind in experience. And now the Goon Squad does have access to the Dragon Knight, so Teebs looking for that. Pirate Rum trying to deny, but getting stunned. Teebs is going after him. He's going to jump out of the way, but now we've got 4 players here in the mid, although luckily the Pleyz managed to steal that top shrine as well as the bottom, so now they have access to that Dragon Shrine, but it's going to be hard to get through Teebs in order to grab it.
We're seeing Heroes' health drop quite a bit, in big chunks. Oh no, Lex Uther does avoid the pull, but not the stun from Get Up afterwards, and a good push from ETC means that Malfurion will go down. Poor Malfurion keeps getting ganked. He doesn't really have a lot of escape potential there, really just rooting somebody and then running away. And we have 2 Envenoms from between Sylvanas and Kerrigan, so they're stacking that damage, being able to throw it very quickly. Now Teebs is going to push back Evan, but Evan is able to vault away.
I have this sense that the Pleyz team composition is going to be really strong in the later game when that experience soak becomes a little less important and the teams are roaming as 5 in a lot of cases. I feel like in that case they would be maybe an even more scary composition. So probably what Goon Squad is thinking is in the early game we need to really establish our dominance, and so far they've done a pretty good job of that momentum wise, but in terms of stats they're only ahead 2 kills and everything else is pretty much even.
Yeah, for having to deal with the gank squad, it is all the early game. The Pleyz is doing a great job staying up there with experience. They even picked up an ETC kill there, which is so nice, and they're on their way to getting level 7 first. They are the ones soaking. It's up to the Goon squad, who are missing some of that soak in order to get ganks. They've got to be getting kills, and if they can't get enough kills to get ahead so that they can continue to stay ahead, then it's going to be a problem for them in the later game. Both shrines now are being picked up by the Pleyz, but I don't see them trying to grab this dragon. Lex Uther has to be so careful, and Kerrigan, this goat, is coming down trying to relieve some of the pressure by picking up one of the shrines.
At this point in the game, having both dragon shrines and having the dragon knight activated in the middle is a little more of like an insurance policy. It's saying, okay, you have to keep your eye out on this. You're going to be stretched a little more thin. But like you said, not necessarily going to take risks to get that early game dragon knight, because the early game dragon knight in a lot of ways is not a huge game maker. It's going to be a little bit weaker at this point in the game than it would be later on.
Observing this is always kind of crazy because you always have to be watching for the shrines to change and stuff. There's so much that happens on Dragonshire, and this is the case. There's Lex Uther going to be pulled in by Goot. Does avoid it, but doesn't avoid the stun from Get Up once again. And having that Uther Kerrigan is so impressive, because even if you can avoid one, you can't avoid the other in the process of trying to get away. And so for now, they have lost their Malfurion, who will be up soon. But the Goon squad's coming up trying to grab this top shrine now. But meanwhile, on bottom, the Pleyz is going to grab this. So they're doing a really good job too as well, knowing where their opponents are going to be heading next and going to the shrine opposite of that. They don't want to try to deal with that gank, especially when they often have heroes down. So instead, they're just trying to delay the Dragon Knight. They do not want Goon squad to get it.
Absolutely not. Although it is weaker in this early game, you certainly never want to let your opponent have it, no matter how much less important it is. Evan Drinde and Hosty having a grand old time together here in the top, fighting over things, but Evan Drinde gonna run down, so we may start seeing the Pleyz group up and try to look for some picks of their own. Teebs being far out of position, but it looks like maybe the Pleyz didn't really realize it in time. Lex Uther has been, I believe, 3 of the 4 kills, if I'm not mistaken, that the Goon Squad has had. So Lex Uther really should be staying with his teammates a little bit more at this point. It's been killed right by this wall, so looking to not have that repeated. Evan Drinde does get stunned, but does manage to get behind the wall. Will he stay out of harm's way? Yes. So like you said, those stuns being so important, almost dying there just because of being stunned, even behind the wall. And I think the Goon Squad really likes this 2-stun ability, which is working really well for them. They are, however, behind in experience, and their opponents have level 10 now, so it looks like they might be able to grab that Dragon Knight. Zeus will put on the Dragon Suit and will push against this middle lane.
Because Evan was able to avoid that gank there in mid, they had their level 10 abilities just slightly sooner, and that meant that the Goon Squad did not want to go in and try to deal with that Dragon Knight. Now Teebs is jumping in, and that's a huge mosh pit. But a great punt from the Dragon Knight actually stops it. And there is Kerrigan dead in the water. Now Teebs is taking a ton of damage from the fire, has to try to get out, but Yellcow is on the chase. Avatar constantly stunning him. ETC will go down. That's 2 heroes down for none on the side of the Pleyz.
Yeah, Get Up having to use Divine Shield on himself to get away from that. the Pleyz really wreaking havoc here, definitely getting what they want from that patience in the early game. And although we did see those early game ganks, we're starting to see that strength, like we mentioned, come out from the Pleyz, where when they're together, they are a force to be reckoned with. The Dragon Knight's now going to go top and try to do some damage to this top wall, really trying to spread out as much damage as the Dragon Knight can do, and then getting poor fragile little Jaina out of the way before she could get any damage done to her.
They're going to continue to push up here a little bit really fast. Heroic abilities for the Goon Squad are Wailing Arrow, Odin, Mosh Pit, Maelstrom, and Divine Shield, which we've seen plenty already, but also the Water Elemental, Avatar, Strafe, Metamorphosis, and the Tranquility for the Pleyz.
Yeah, gonna be really interesting to see. I love things that you can do with Kerrigan's Maelstrom, especially Uther Divine Shielding Kerrigan with Maelstrom can be devastating if you time it right. So I'll be looking for that.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the idea, but unfortunately because Uther had to use it on himself, Kerrigan went down so fast. I just cannot get over the fact that Mosh Pit was taken by ETC, which we don't often see. A lot of times it's been stage dive lately, especially on this map, because you can stage dive to whatever shrine is not being taken by the other team and just grab it really fast, just delaying a Dragon Knight when your team might be down a hero or something like that. But choosing to pick up the Mosh Pit, and I understand it, right? They kind of want that wombo. Mosh Pit grabbing a whole bunch of people like they did that time, and then Maelstrom right on top of it, but it backfired because the punt from the Dragon was so awesome.
Yeah, really showing the importance of map objectives and how well they can be used in all situations. We are going to see another team fight here. Lex Uther getting very, very low, is stunned, and will get away by using Tranquility, healing up the rest of his team, turning the tides on Goon Squad, who will get melted down by all of the damage that the Pleyz have. A clutch Tranquility, I think, turned the tides there, Gilly.
Holy moly. Yeah, and Divine Shield wasn't actually used in there. They killed Uther really, really fast, which is right what they needed to do. And then also, Mosh Pit once again was stopped. That's been the problem with Mosh Pit, is that it's pretty easy to stop as long as you guys do not group up. You have to not group up. And so now Shrines are coming up, and the Pleyz are in a great position for this. They have their level 13 talents. They've grabbed a whole bunch of mercenary cams. They have the board totally in their favor and are grabbing the shrines now as well.
And just like that, they have more than double the kills of Goon Squad, who was set out as this early game gank squad. So they must be feeling really good. They do pick up another Dragon Knight, and Yelko will take it to the top lane this time.
Now, Jaina did pick up Sprint and Malfurion grabbed the Ice Block as well. Oh no, Hosty getting so low, already Banshee'd away and won't be able to get away from Pirate Rum at that point. Will go down. So Jaina picking up Sprint and Ice Block on Malfurion. We talked about how Malfurion really doesn't have any sort of escape. So they are still respecting the fact that they, at any point, they can be in a terrible situation with that Kerrigan Maelstrom and as well as the Mosh Pit. And so they are still being careful with their talents, not going for anything crazy. And here we go. It's possible Goat could get a really good pull in here. Already tried once, and for now, the Pleyz are going to be safe.
Yeah, smart for Goon Squad not engaging too hard there because they didn't have everyone with them. Hosty was behind. I think they really needed 5 people in order to take advantage of the synergy that they've got. Right now, Get Up and Yoda getting a little far out there, so I would say Goon Squad's got to keep these 5 people together and make use of their wombos. They're looking for an engagement here now that they have their level 13 talents. And they want to do it before their opponents hit 16, which is going to be super momentarily. They can't catch them, and now they have level 16. Goat still looking for the engage. It looks like they're going to try it. Maybe they didn't even have time to get their level 16 talents. We see Odin going down. But Goon Squad really didn't want to get that engagement. They are getting melted down very fast. Odin is running away, but too slow. Will get taken down as well. Hosty very low, also running away. Lex Uther is on top of that. Hosty trying to mount up. Will Hosty get away? Yes, so Hosty will be the only Wait, where's Tychus? Is Tychus alive? Tychus is alive! Yoda manages to get to the top lane and run back. So 2 members managing to survive what I thought looked like it could have been a total team wipe.
So that was basically the perfect situation they wanted. Divine Shield was a little bit early on Kerrigan, but overall that Mosh was epic. Everyone was stuck in it. Kerrigan Maelstrom'd on top. We saw people take a lot of damage, but really the story of that fight was a 3-level difference. Level 16 talents for the Pleyz and level 13 had just been picked up for Goon Squad. They were able to, once they started taking damage, they had Tranquilities, they did not drop, and then from there turned the fight and were able to take out their opponents really quickly. just telling the tale of what a 3-level difference can do.
Yeah, I think we saw Kerrigan jumping in, not realizing that the 16 had happened. And when your Kerrigan jumps in, you have that split-second decision of like, okay, are we just going to go for it, or do we back off and potentially leave her to die? They decided to just go for it, and that probably wasn't the right decision. Also, now Teeb's getting caught out again, Gilly.
Again, there goes ETC, 30 seconds down. Shrines are up in 15. Level 16 talents. Let's see, we've got Numbing Blast. So Jaina's going to be able to root people now on top of the roots that Malfurion can throw out. So really trying to hold people down there. They know that they don't even really need the numbing, the Northern Exposure for the extra damage, the vulnerability, because they're already dealing so much awesome damage, and they're just really wanting to keep their experience lead by going ahead and getting picks. And so they've also got the 2 Blood for Bloods as well as the Hardened Focus for Malfurion. So they've grabbed the Dragon Knight. They're headed for this keep. This is going to be a hard one for the Goon Squad to be able to deal with because they still don't have level 16.
And the experience is going to keep being in the favor of the Pleyz, as this is their 3rd Dragon Knight. There have been no Dragon Knights yet for Goon Squad, and the more structures they destroy, the more their experience lead widens. They are almost at level 18 now, while still the Goon Squad is struggling to get 16.
Yes, that's exactly right. Evan throwing a ton of fire on top of this keep. They really want to get this first keep. It really opens the door for them as far as possibilities, both literally and figuratively. Now they are going in for an engagement, but once again, not 16. Already Kerrigan's Maelstrom is dealing a lot of damage, and she gets a pull on Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor, with that crazy amount of healing for Tranquility, is able to survive it. And now everybody but Sylvanas is down, and because of this team wipe, that's going to be game for the Pleyz.
Wow. I think that the patience we saw in the early game, being like, okay, it's fine, Goon Squad, just keep doing your thing, knowing that they had this damage ball that was going to come under Malfurion's Tranquility. They were really counting on this mid to late game, and it worked out very well for them. The Pleyz will take it and will move on to the finals.
What a crazy, crazy game. Newcomers, the Pleyz, not super newcomers. We've seen all of these players before. I always do that. Players before, but beating out the Goon Squad was a hefty charge for them. The Goon Squad have been in the finals multiple times. They've won the finals multiple times. And so good games to both teams, but we will have the Pleyz moving on. They will be facing Pool Play-Doh. We saw them before as well. I think some more team members that we've seen before who are playing on other teams, and that should be another fun best of 3, Anna.
Yeah, so now we will go into the grand finals. It's been a great week so far. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Hopefully we get another 3-game series. We'll have to see. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the finals of Week 13.